Alright, so I got the pumping here again, and now I have the quantum fuel system. I want to show the part number just so you can see it in case you're curious, and I can add it also to the description. So this is what comes in the packet. Let me just move this right here. So this is what comes in the packet. You have your bag with all, fittings, lines. You have a brand new filter, and you actually have a rubber seal again for the tank, and you have all your electrical connections. And then you got another bag with the actual other connections as well, so you can see here. And now the most exciting part, which is the pump. And first thing, before I even open this, I just want to go ahead and take a look at the pump that's inside, which is of course going from here to here. And I just want to compare, the sizes. So that might be something that we want to do once I take it apart. So similar to what I did when I took out or removed the pump for the first time, I just remove all the hardware. You can see all the different connections that are connecting the pump to the actual assembly, just so I can free it up and pull the pump from the assembly at the bottom, so I can get them both free. Time for us to compare the size and make sure that we're indeed replacing the pump with something that's equivalent. It's not going to require a lot of modifications. You can take a look at both. So I'm just trying to compare. So of course these connections are going to be different. But we have the connections in the back, so just so I can add a harness in here that I can tap into this one. Since this is a universal kit that can fit multiple different bikes, you get the ability, you got multiple filters. So I'm just gonna be picking the one that looks similar to the one we pulled out, so you can compare both of those pieces. This is the one that goes to the bottom, very similar to the one that came out of the pump from the original pump. Right, so the name of the game is reusing most of this stuff. So first thing we have to choose is the electrical connection. So we can either go with this one, which this one will go like so, and just add connectors at the end of the cables, and then so that we can connect at the bottom of the pump using the same type of connections we had before, which that's a possibility. So at this point I already chose the type of connection I was going to use. So I was going to use that clip that I showed before, along with the the pigtails that I was going to add those couple connections, so I can use them on the assembly at the bottom as normally would on the normal or original setup. Here is the actual filter that I use, or that I use for the pump. And here I am just adding all the different parts that came from the original pump, as well as some of the replacement parts that came from the kit. Alright, so pump is done. Here we have your negative, and then this cable that goes close to the regulator right here goes to this leg, and then the negative that came from the connection from the pump goes all the way in here. looks pretty sturdy. I just put it on the pump and it seems like it's working. So I think at this point we are ready to go. So when you get to the actual gas tank or fuel tank, you can remove the old gasket that make sure that there's no fuel leaking when the assembly is connected. And now just wiggle the fuel pump in place, just making sure always that the actual connection for the quick connect gas line or fuel line is just pointing to the appropriate place. So here I am starting the bolt by hand, and then I'm just going to be slightly just adding a little bit of a pressure with my Allen key, and finally I'm just going to go ahead and torque them down to spec with my new digital torque tool. These two actually came in super handy, specifically just because the amount of torque is similar to the GSX-S1000, which is just 7 pounds. And here I'm just checking all the bolts that none of them came loose. So in here I finally am in a place where I can bring the tank back to the bike. So I'm making sure that I'm installing all my electrical connections to give the power to the fuel pump, as well as the physical line that's just going to be allowing the possibility of having fuel flowing from the tank and the fuel rail or the engine. Alright, so pump is on, it's connected, quick connect is on. I put the air box with the filters and whatnot, not the filters, I'm sorry, with the connectors to the air box. So I guess here goes nothing. Let's just give it a try and see if it works. Hopefully it's not connected backwards. Pump seems to be working. This is the moment to this is exciting. This is exciting. This is the time where we know that at least I did not buy a complete turd. It is a turd, but now we know that the pump was the issue in order for to get this bike running, in addition to that starter solenoid. So this is pretty impressive. It sounds like the motor is actually healthy, which I'm very happy about. And so I'm not gonna run it. It almost doesn't have any fuel in it because I took everything out. So chances are what's there is just the bare minimum that's it at the bottom of the tank. So yeah, this is very exciting. Of course, I have now. I'm gonna change the plugs. I'm gonna change the oil, and then of course my electrical system, just so I can do the final connections. And that's when I'm going to be revealing what exactly we're going to be doing with this bike once I get it to that point. Alright, so it's gonna happen in the next video or two, and so stay tuned for what's coming for this bike. I think you guys are going to be excited.